The Singapore Premier League returns this weekend after the international break, and that means it's time for myself and Roshan to discuss the major talking points ahead of this weekend's action. This is SPL Express, and as always, it's glad to have your company. Now, before we come to you, Roshan, let's remind viewers of how the table looks like after 24 matches. We truly are in the business end of the season with 4 matches left. Albirex Negata sit on top, 3 points clear of Lion City Sailors. Tampines Rovers are third, while Geylang International, Tanjong Pagar and Hougang United are separated by just a point. So here's what's coming up this weekend. Tanjong Pagar face Young Lions on Saturday, and at the same time, Tampines Rovers face derby rivals Geylang International, with the Stags looking to pick up their 5th win on the bounce. On Sunday, Balestier Khalsa welcome a Lion City Sailors side who have lost their last 2 matches, while Albirex Negata will look to maintain pole position in the league when they entertain Hougang United. So let's start off with the games on Saturday. Tanjong Pagar facing Young Lions. Tanjong Pagar in the race for a top 4 finish. How do you see them finishing the season and more importantly approaching this game against the Young Lions?
I think this is a game against the Young Lions that they need to pick up 3 points in, and they should look at it as an opportunity to get even more of a bounce. You know, they went into the international break off the back of that win against Balestier Khalsa the last time out. And then there was that draw against Hougang as well that sort of snapped that losing streak that they had. I think it's going to be difficult. It's going to be such a big challenge for them because of the run-in and the games that they have coming up. Whether they've sort of gotten over that blip in terms of that losing run is going to be fascinating to see over the next few weeks or so. But what was good for them was that game against Balestier Khalsa where they didn't have Ryo Nishiguchi and they were still able to score 3 goals in that one. So if he comes back into the side, you'd expect them to be heavy favourites to go on and pick up the 3 points against the Young Lions. Although, I have to say the Young Lions did beat them the last time they faced off against each other.
Would the result have any bearing on this game or how the teams approach this game?
No, I don't think so. I know I brought up that result, and that might give the Young Lions a little bit of confidence, but let's also remember that Akram was sent off in that match for Tanjong Pagar, and so for large parts of that game, they were playing with just 10, and that had a big impact on this Tanjong Pagar United side. Now, with 11 on the pitch, I think they'll have too much physicality, a little bit too much experience for Young Lions, and they should come away with the win.
Well, the other game on Saturday is the Eastern Derby, and Geylang International, who are also in the race for the top 4, they face Tampines Rovers. Let's talk about Geylang. We understand that Sime Zuzu might be back this weekend. Yeah. How big and how important is he to the side?
Very important. And if he does come back, we're hearing there's a good opportunity, a good chance that he's going to be playing in this game. And I think he wants to play in this game as well. He knows it's a big match. Eastern Derby is a massive, longest running derby in Singapore football. And there's a lot that matters to the players in this one and to the fans from both these sides. So him coming back will be a huge boost for Geylang International, because he's not only just that focal point up front, he's been in good form. Before that injury, he was scoring goals for fun essentially, and he helps to link the play in those forward areas, and he's also a player who can sort of turn it on his own. And it gives Bezakor that freedom to just roam across into various positions, knowing that they've got a centre forward in there, and Zuzul, who can hold his own up front. So if he plays, it will be a big boost for Geylang.
Well, let's talk about Tampines. They have strung 4 wins together now. They found their footing. What do you think's worked for the Stags?
Yeah, you look at the defensive record over the last 4 matches. They've conceded just 2 goals. 4 wins in a row, as you said. They've kept 2 clean sheets. Although the caveat there is that those 2 clean sheets have come against the Young Lions. So you say perhaps they weren't really tested enough. But then that win against the Lion City Sailors was huge. Absolutely massive, picking up 3 points in that game. And I think for them, the issue for me has been they've been a little bit too loose in defensive phases. They've lost those concentration. Levels have dipped throughout matches. And you expect that with the younger side. It's also a team that doesn't have much in terms of height in that back line. So they do suffer at set pieces. But I think over the last 4 weeks or so, in terms of the matches that they've played, that's a timeline I'm looking at, is the fact that I think they have sort of set up their structure a little bit more conservatively at times, I would say. They're not pressing as high up as they normally would. In certain situations, they are dropping into, at times, a middle block, so to speak. And that helps them sort of try and keep it a little bit more compact in between the lines. There's a little bit better in terms of the reading of the game on the defensive side of things as well. So I think the structure has improved a little bit. Also, the concentration levels seem to have been pretty good. I'm still not convinced, obviously, that it's the finished article. I still think there's some work to be done, which is understandable because it's a young team. But it's looking really good for them. And, you know, they've had great results over Geylang so far this season. And I would say they go into this game as favourites, just because of the quality that Tampines have in their side, just because of the confidence that's flowing through the side at the moment. Mehmedovic is getting goals. He scored in his last 2 SPL appearances. And of course, Kopitovic up front is on absolute fire.
Now, those games on Saturday are crucial for the top four, the race for the top four finishes. But on Sunday, it's crucial. The games are crucial for the title race running. Balestier Khalsa play Lion City Sailors.
Yeah.
Sailors coming to this one after 2 consecutive defeats. They've had a kind of a lengthy break. How do you think Luka Lalic would have approached the break?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Sailors, a lot of their players, 9 players I think, were called up to the Singapore international side. So when you think of an international break, some of these other teams would have had really good opportunity to work as a unit, as a team unit, give the players a bit of a break, some days off as well, and then come together and work in that team structure and that team shape with all the players available, generally most of their players available. Whereas for the Lion City Sailors, it's a little bit different. There were players that are left behind, and then you work on a few things like conditioning, and of course, some of them will get a few days off as well. But in terms of trying to really put the team together, that's where the challenge sort of lies, with the fact that 9 of them were with the international side. So there wasn't really perhaps an opportunity to work too much in terms of team shape with the guys who would be regularly playing football matches.
Well, so the players who were left behind were the foreign players as well. And is there a certain over-reliance on them over the season?
Yeah,
especially when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, I think they are. But to be fair, I think that's most of the teams in the league. I mean, that's what those foreign signings are there for, to try and help elevate the level of the team. So I don't think it's really fair to sort of say teams are always over-reliant. I mean, that's naturally what it is in the league and for all the teams in this competition. But for the Lion City Sailors, perhaps when you look at the contributions for these foreign players, those are the guys who have really been the match winners. Those are the guys who have really been the game changers for them. And it seems to be a case where they have struggled at times without some of the foreign contingent. And that's been a bit of an issue for them. It doesn't help that Pedro is not going to be around anymore. He's picked up an injury. Diego Lopez on and off in terms of his fitness issues as well. Maxime Lestien has had a couple of issues. Kim Chinook, we know, has had a couple of issues as well. So in the run-in, it's a challenge for them, and it certainly doesn't help that they've got these players out or not at 100%. So the international break would have given them that chance to get some of these foreign players back fit and firing, and for them, hopefully they'll be able to come back and add quality.
Well, they're coming back against the Balestier team at Toa Payoh Stadium. How difficult is this game going to be for the Sailors, especially considering what's on stake?
On paper, it shouldn't be difficult. And if you're the Sailors, you would certainly be looking at this as the game where you need to get that bounce. If you want to be serious challengers for the title coming into closing stages of the campaign, this is a match in which they need the 3 points. And they should be able to pick up the 3 points against a very poor Balestier Khalsa side. I think the Sailors have scored like 14 goals or something like that. In the 3 matches, conceded just the 1 in 3 matches prior to this against Balestier. So they dominate Balestier Khalsa, and I expect that it will be the same for the Lion City Sailors going into this one. And then we'll see what happens over the course of the next few weeks or so, but I expect them to pick up the maximum points.
Well, the Sailors are trading Albirex. Of course, Albirex entertain Hougang United. Albirex, for the first time this season, they are ahead of the Sailors. I mean, they've been playing catch-up for most of the season.
Campaign, yeah.
So psychologically, how do you think they're going to approach this game against Hougang and the final stretch?
Yeah, now is not the time to be overly cautious. I think, that can sometimes happen where you take the lead in the league and then suddenly, it's coming to the crunch and you start to feel we've got something to lose now. Yeah. I think it should be a mentality of let's go all the way and try to go and win this thing. We've got something to win rather than we've got something to lose. And if it will be great to see that sort of approach from them, because I think they have the firepower to go out and beat the challenges that are coming up for them. And they have got a very difficult run-in. Much tougher next 4 games coming up for Albirex Niigata as compared to the Lion City Sailors. So it's going to be a huge challenge for them. The pressure is going to be on in every game. It's 4 cup finals essentially for them. The job that Yoshinaga has in terms of using his experience, he's been there, he's done this, using his experience with these younger players and trying to take that pressure off them, but also maintaining a nice competitive level with this side is going to be great to watch, because he's going to be key in terms of how Albirex sort of handle this run-in. But look, they've got fantastic quality up front, and they have had a couple of issues against Hougang this season, but that's been at Hougang Stadium on a natural grass surface. The one time they've played at Jurong East on the artificial turf, Albirex won by 5-0. So I think they will have good control of this match against Hougang.
Let's talk a bit about Hougang United. They come into this one after beating Geylang International. After that game, it was very interesting to hear Christian Krajcek talk about the fact that this is the best management he's been under in his playing career. And that obviously alludes to the fact that there have been question marks over the team morale and the team spirit.
Yeah.
So what is going on at Hougang right now? What do you reckon, looking from the outside?
I mean, it was interesting for him to sort of offer up that opinion. You know, it's rare in the world of football where you have a player or a coach coming up and offering, and the question wasn't even asked, and he offered it. He volunteered the information, and I wish I was there to talk to him about it, because I would have, really followed up on a few more things. I would have put him on under the spotlight even more. I think it was let off quite easily, but I would have asked them if they are the best management, then what's gone wrong with Hougang United this season? Who is taking the responsibility here? Because let's face it, let's be honest, Hougang United, they're still in with a chance of a finish in the top 4. And if something magical happens, perhaps even a top 3 finish, which would absolutely rescue their season. But for large parts of this campaign, they just haven't been convincing enough with the quality that they've had. And I think a lot of us expected, with the squad that they have, Hougang, to be closer towards the top 2 coming into the later stages of the campaign. So it hasn't happened. So I would ask that question then. If it's the management are great, they're doing a fantastic job, is it the players then who aren't delivering? Then they should shoulder that responsibility and go on and start to perform in the next few weeks or so.
Well, let's see how the game pans out. That is our match of the week. Kickoff is at 5:30, but our coverage begins at 5 p.m. with Roshan and Shasi Kumar. So don't forget to tune in for that. So it's crunch time in the Singapore Premier League. We could see another twist to the title race after this weekend. Don't forget, you can catch all the action live on our SPL YouTube page. Thank you, Roshan. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.